This is your Adventist News, a service of the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, and I'm Stanley Fillard. Coming up in this week's broadcast, members trained to soar, adventurers celebrated, and youth participate in projects to promote a healthy lifestyle. These stories and more on this week's Adventist News. Ministry within the COVID-19 pandemic continues to evolve as we seek to provide spiritual enrichment for our members. This past weekend, attendees at the SOAR conference, hosted by the ministerial department of our conference, were encouraged to discuss the future for ministry beyond the pandemic. Drs. Earl and Hope Campbell of Tennessee presented on the hot topic of should we take the vaccine.
So the Pfizer vaccine received emergency use authorization on December 11, 2020. The World Health Organization assigned it emergency use listing on December 31st, 2020. And investigators actually compare the safety and efficacy of 2 doses of this vaccine, compare them with placebo, and administered a second dose 21 days after the first dose. This study had actually enrolled over 43,000 participants aged 16 years and older. A median follow-up of 2 months was carried out, and the results showed the 2-dose vaccine regimen confers 95% protection against symptomatic COVID-19 infection.
So this is how vaccine hesitancy exists, as we talked about. So anywhere from I refuse it to I'll refuse it, but I'm unsure, or I'll accept it. I'll take some vaccines, maybe not this one, but I've taken others. Or I'll accept it, but I'm still not sure I should have, versus full acceptance. So how do we as a congregation, how do we as a church, how do we as ministerial leaders and department leaders address this? Educating the public. When you get educated, then you in turn educate those, because your congregants, your friends, your little circle. Nobody has asked you to do a big presentation. Just work within your own families is a great start. Demonstrate confidence. So if you're confident, it will breed confidence in others. Build trust, listen to them. There may be things about the vaccine that you agree on, but the biggest thing is not to be judgmental and acknowledge a person's background, their history, their culture, their religious norms, etc., and stay within the facts. I would love to say, oh no, that's not going to happen, but I can't because I don't know yet.
T. Basil Stirrup, Ministerial Director for the South Bahamas Conference, placed a new twist on the topic of maximizing your pulpit, stating that as Christians, our professions are only to pay our bills, but our true work is to evangelize to the world.
Somebody else's assignment may be to the government. Another person's assignment may be to the field of education. Everybody who comes into contact with you is supposed to leave better than they were before they came into your presence. And I'm not just talking about physically, I'm really talking about spiritually, because those of us who know Jesus, we carry the presence and the power of Christ with us wherever. If you're a secretary or an executive, your desk is your pulpit. Everybody who sits in front of that desk, pass by that desk, give you an assignment that comes across that desk. The way that that assignment is done and completed ought to speak volumes about the person that you are. Whenever you open your mouth, whenever they look in your face and you give them that smile, that desk becomes your pulpit.
Dr. Peter Joseph, Personal Ministries Director, told of how social media should be seen by the church under the topic Takeaways from the Pandemic.
The vast array of social media is no longer a tool, but a mission field. While teens could spend up to 9 hours a day online, millennials could spend up to 18 hours a day online. You see, it's no longer a tool, Come on, social media is no longer a tool. We have to stop seeing it. Social media is, in all its facets, a mission field.
Artoria Moss, in her presentation on how to become a digital disciple, gave the attendees valuable tips from her personal experience with her online ministry. She highlighted hindrances in finding time for such a ministry.
You may not have enough time, and this is perhaps the main reason why people are not able to launch online projects. It's a struggle for me as well. It did take a lot of time to get the website up and running. But I think what we have to do is just make sure we practice proper time management. We want to make sure that we swap out any time wasters. Track the time that you spend maybe on TV. There's a lot of time that we spend just in entertainment. We can sacrifice some of that time and swap it out and put it into something that will bring glory to God.
During the summit, a very important question was answered. Is the church building still necessary in light of our virtual platforms? Dr. Gordon Jones, pastor of the Riverside Seventh-day Adventist Church in Nashville, Tennessee, spoke on this.
And this is something that you could wrestle with. Could be your testimony. Something uniquely happens to the believer in corporate worship that doesn't happen apart from it. I'm a living testimony to that. I sit in church sometimes, didn't want to go. And when I get there, something happens. There's somebody here tonight, just Beyonce's song, lifted a burden that will, if you did not come to this space, but imagine what it would be like when you could actually see her perform that song before your eyes, when you could touch and agree with someone in the space. Something happens, child of God. Remember, as the church of God is summoned to meet God. It's not just an assembly. It's not just we get on the Facebook or we get on Zoom, and we meet and we chat in the chat. No, something happens. We're summoned, called by God to meet him at a place. He becomes the center of that assembly.
The SAW conference ended on a spiritual high as Dr. Abram Jules, lead pastor of the Community Worship Center in Queens, New York, encouraged the conference goers to be humble in their ministry for God.
The quality they admired most in ministers and preachers and pastors and leaders is humility. Pastors who are humble and teachable. It's okay to be a celebrated preacher. It's okay to be a great administrator. It's okay to know the King's English. It's okay to be spellbinding in your presentation. It's okay to do all the things you can to make yourself better and to be of greater service to God and his people. But the greatest quality, the one that qualifies you more than any other to be of service to the people of God and to this world, is humility. The reason why some of us never get anywhere is we always think it's somebody else who is incomplete, not me. And we never look in the mirror and realize it's not other folk. I have some incompleteness, and I am open to allow somebody to help me deal with my incompleteness. Not only do people take a liking to humble people, but God does too.
Pastor Stirrup would like to thank his team of planners for allowing God to use them once again in organizing the 3rd annual Solutions to Obstacles Adventist Retreat. For the first time ever, the Youth Department of the World Church hosted for the adventurers of the Pathfinder Club its own World Adventurers Day. Churches across the South Bahamas Conference on Sabbath, May 15th, witnessed adventurers leading out in the Sabbath School and Divine Services. They recited memory verses, sang, dramatized ways to be missionaries, preached sermons, and conducted missionary visits in the community. In the afternoon of World Adventurers Day, a special hybrid celebration was held to empower adventurers to do their part to make Jesus' coming sooner. Throughout the day, adventurers answered the call to be prepared for baptism, and 2 clubs reported baptisms, where Alyssa Spence was baptized from the Good News Church Chariots Pathfinder Club and Corel Green from the Hillview Church. Both were baptized by Pastor Larry Green, former youth director for the South Bahamas Conference. The Living Faith Church recently started an initiative in support of our health message that promotes an overall healthy lifestyle. A group of almost 30 young people from the church's youth department initiated a small farming project which will foster teaching the youth not only to farm, but they will also learn principles of working together to achieve a common goal. The team of youth led by Chinyere Ijoma, youth leader of the church, has already planted okra, green peppers, hot peppers, tomatoes, celery, carrots, cucumbers, bananas, and sugar cane. By the end of the month, Ijoma projects the group would have further planted watermelon, cantaloupe, broccoli, pumpkin, onion, potato, cassava, beets, and lime seedlings. We say congratulations to the team of farmers and we look forward to the harvest. We'll be back with the upcoming events in our conference.
As I travel through this exceptional, beautiful territory of this paradise called Inter-America, I have to exclaim, "Oh God, how great thou art! You have created it all, and you gave us the joy of living and working here. How great thou art! How beautiful it is to see the great and towering mountains, those massive volcanoes that show the glory of God and make us hear His voice in the midst of the fire. The pristine beaches with their clear crystal waters basking in the sunshine. Vast forests, jungles, and deserts where our brothers and sisters in over 40 countries find reasons to acknowledge the glory of God."
Welcome back to your Adventist News. Here's what's coming up in the South Bahamas Conference. Ignite 2021, which is the third annual Youth Retreat Congress, will be held under the theme Situationships, the 5S Formula. Please be aware that the dates have changed to Friday, July 30th at 8 p.m., where the event will be virtual only, and Sabbath, July 31st, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., where a hybrid service will be held both online and in person for paid delegates only at the New Providence Community Center. The Children and Adolescent Ministries Department will host its annual retreat from June 4th through 5th, 2021 for the children and teens of our conference under the theme Superheroes for Christ. Registration is available on the conference website. The Johnson Park Church continues the Jesus is Still the Answer gospel campaign, which started on May 16th and will conclude on May 29th with evangelist Pastor Dan Hugh Gordon. The meetings are being held nightly from 7:15 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and they have been answering questions such as, is the Sabbath good for me? Is grace enough? Will judgment be for real? Among other topics. Prayer and Bible study is available to all attendees, so be sure to attend in-house at the church on Ajax and Farrington Roads or on Zoom. For more information on these events, please visit our conference website at southbahamasconference.org, where you can view our news update along with other programming from our cable channel ATV 658. You can read the weekly logos and the Adventist page publication from the Nassau Guardian.
The thyroid is a butterfly-shaped gland found in the front of the neck. A healthy thyroid can be compared to a size that is a bit larger than that of a quarter. Its job is to produce a hormone which regulates growth and development via the rate of metabolism. According to healthline.com, all cells in the body can be altered negatively if the thyroid is affected negatively. Iodine found in food is taken to the thyroid gland and then converted into thyroid hormones called thyroxine, T4, and triiodothyronine. The thyroid gland function is to allow your heart, brain, muscles, and other organs to work accurately, and it helps to manage your body's temperature. Men are not as likely to attain a thyroid problem as women are. 1 in 8 women will contract a thyroid issue during her lifespan. In the body, thyroid cells are the only cells that can absorb iodine. Maintain a balanced diet and be sure to include foods rich in iodine such as prunes, dried seaweed, baked potato with the skin, cranberries, iodized sea salt, milk, navy beans, tuna, and organic yogurt. This has been Bridget Bastian with your health tips, courtesy of Adventist Television. And remember, God wants us to prosper and be in good health.
We go now to our news feature from around the world with the Adventist News Network.
Leaders of several Seventh-day Adventist organizations are joining forces to provide urgent assistance to India and Brazil.
In a May 4 action, the Administrative Committee of the General Conference, better known as GC-ADCOM, voted to release contingency funds and ramp up the coordination of efforts by various church organizations to assist those 2 pandemic-ravaged nations.
Adventist leaders explained that several church organizations have already been assisting many countries affected by the lingering COVID-19 pandemic. ADRA in India has launched several projects in partnership with the Seventh-day Adventist Church Health System in India.
The GC-ADCOM reported that initial estimates in financial support, program strengthening, and in-kind totals about $250,000. Since the pandemic began, the ADRA COVID-19 response in India has totaled more than $1.2 million, with another $1 million expected in the coming weeks.
That brings us to the end of our Adventist news from the South Bahamas Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Please feel free to share what is happening at your church by sending us your news stories and upcoming events by email to sbcadventistnews@gmail.com. To view a rebroadcast of the Adventist news along with other programming, or to keep in touch with what's happening in our conference, visit our conference website at southbahamasconference.org. Like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as our YouTube channel. And on behalf of the production team of Adventist Television Channel 658, thank you for watching our news broadcast. I'm Stanley Fallord for the SBC Media Network. Have a happy Sabbath.